Yu Menglong, Transparency and Trust in Investigations of Public Figures' Deaths. The death of Yu Menglong, a beloved actor and singer known for his charm, humility, and artistic brilliance, left millions in shock and disbelief. When a public figure passes away, especially under uncertain or tragic circumstances, the public reaction goes beyond mourning. It transforms into a demand for truth. People want to know not just what happened, but why and how it happened. Yet, too often, investigations into celebrity deaths are clouded by confusion, misinformation, or a lack of transparency. The case of Yu Menglong reignited a global debate. How can the public trust the findings of such investigations when clarity is missing, statements are inconsistent, or crucial information is delayed? In any high-profile death, truth becomes both a matter of justice and public healing. For Yu Menglong, who inspired millions with his talent and kindness, the ambiguity surrounding his passing created a wave of public distress. Fans, friends, and even colleagues voiced frustration at the lack of clear details. Rumors began to fill the vacuum left by silence, and speculation spread faster than official updates. This erosion of trust isn't unique to his case. It is a recurring issue that surfaces whenever public institutions fail to maintain openness, consistency, and timeliness in handling sensitive cases. At the heart of the matter lies the question of transparency. When a celebrity dies, the investigation process attracts immense attention. People expect a level of openness proportional to the fame of the individual involved. Yet in many cases, the process becomes shrouded in secrecy. Initial reports might conflict, key witnesses might remain unidentified, or autopsy results may be withheld for long periods. Each delay or inconsistency feeds suspicion, pushing the public toward alternative explanations that often spiral into conspiracy theories. For Yu Menglong's fans, these inconsistencies felt like a betrayal, not necessarily of the investigation itself, but of the trust that had long existed between the artist's public image and the institutions charged with finding the truth. Conflicting statements are often the first trigger of public skepticism. In Yu Menglong's case, early news reports cited different causes of death within hours of each other. Some mentioned natural causes, others hinted at an accident, while a few suggested underlying health issues. As these reports circulated, official channels failed to promptly clarify the facts, leaving a void where accuracy should have stood. Such confusion is damaging because it undermines confidence in the investigation's integrity. People begin to question whether officials are hiding something or if the truth is being manipulated for political or social convenience. The lack of synchronization between authorities, media outlets, and family statements deepens this mistrust. For an audience already emotionally attached to the deceased, uncertainty becomes unbearable. Transparency, however, is not just about releasing information. It is about timing, consistency, and accountability. When details are delayed, even for legitimate investigative reasons, they must be communicated clearly. Silence creates suspicion. The public does not necessarily demand every private detail, but they do expect a steady flow of verified updates. In Yu Menglong's case, weeks passed before the official report was mentioned publicly, and even then, it lacked sufficient explanation to address the earlier confusion. Fans were left debating fragments of truth, while rumors thrived unchecked. The emotional chaos that followed was not only about grief, it was about the feeling of being kept in the dark. To restore or maintain public confidence, investigations involving public figures must adhere to clear and consistent standards of transparency. Among these, autopsy reports are the cornerstone. A transparent autopsy process, conducted by qualified professionals and shared in summary form with the public, serves as an anchor for truth. It confirms or dispels speculation and provides factual grounding to discussions. In Yu Menglong's situation, had the autopsy findings been shared promptly and clearly, it could have prevented much of the misinformation that clouded public perception. While full disclosure of every medical detail is neither ethical nor necessary, a concise and factual report can balance privacy with public interest. Another essential element of credibility lies in the handling of CCTV footage and eyewitness accounts. In today's digital world, surveillance footage often serves as irrefutable evidence. The way such evidence is presented can either reinforce or destroy trust. If video evidence is edited, delayed, or described without visual confirmation, the public becomes wary. Similarly, witness statements must be collected swiftly and transparently. When conflicting accounts arise, investigators should explain why these differences exist and how they are being addressed. The public respects honesty, even when facts are incomplete, more than silence or vague explanations. Furthermore, communication is key. The credibility of any investigation depends not only on what is discovered, but on how it is communicated. Clear and timely press briefings, factual updates, and the willingness to correct errors in real time can strengthen public faith. In contrast, evasive or overly cautious communication breeds mistrust. Authorities must understand that in the age of social media, silence is no longer neutral. It is perceived as concealment. For a case like MENGLONG'S, where fans' emotions run deep, communication should have been empathetic as well as factual, acknowledging public grief while providing structured clarity. The role of the media in such investigations is equally critical. Journalistic responsibility must rise above the temptation of sensationalism. In MENGLONG'S case, several online outlets rushed to publish speculative content for clicks and views, often citing unnamed sources or close friends. This created confusion and emotional chaos among fans, some of whom believed false reports long after corrections were made. Media organizations should follow a verification-first approach when dealing with celebrity deaths, ensuring that their information comes from confirmed and credible channels. A respectful approach honors the deceased and prevents the erosion of trust that comes when facts are manipulated for popularity. Beyond transparency in investigation, there is also the matter of institutional trust. People's confidence in the justice system is often shaped by how fairly and openly it handles cases involving high-profile individuals. If the public perceives that famous or powerful figures receive special treatment, or that their deaths are investigated differently, then trust in the entire system suffers. Equality before the law must extend even into death. For MENGLONG'S case, this meant ensuring that the procedures followed were not influenced by his fame, but guided by the same principles that would apply to any citizen. When justice is consistent, credibility strengthens. Moreover, independent oversight can enhance trust. In many countries, when a celebrity dies under unusual circumstances, independent medical examiners or external review panels are invited to participate in the investigation. This prevents bias and reassures the public that the findings are impartial. MENGLONG, the silent weight of unanswered questions. As days turned into weeks after MENGLONG'S death, the silence from official channels grew heavier than grief itself. Fans around the world waited, some with patience, others with restless anxiety, for a statement that could bring closure. But what came instead were fragments of information, a short note from management, a few words from local authorities, and a stream of online speculation that flooded every social platform. It wasn't just about mourning anymore. It was about trust. People didn't simply want to believe what they were told. They wanted to understand. In the early days of the investigation, multiple narratives began circulating, each more confusing than the last. One report suggested sudden illness. Another implied an accident. Others whispered darker possibilities. The lack of a unified, official explanation opened the gates for chaos. Fans dissected videos, rewatched his last interviews, and analyzed his final social media posts for hidden clues. Every word, every pause, every emoji he used became a symbol, a potential sign of distress or mystery. The internet transformed into a courtroom of emotions, where everyone was both detective and mourner. This atmosphere of uncertainty didn't just hurt his legacy. It fractured the emotional connection between the public and the system meant to deliver truth. When people love a public figure as deeply as Yu Menglong was loved, they feel personally invested in his life and his death. To them, unanswered questions feel like personal betrayals. Transparency in such cases is not just a procedural duty, it's an act of empathy. Imagine, for a moment, the scene inside the investigation office. The air thick with tension. Officers flipping through case files, medical reports spread across the desk. CCTV footage replaying in silent loops. Outside, thousands of fans refresh their phones, waiting for an update that might bring light. Each passing hour without clarity feels like a wound reopening. Every rumor that emerges feels like salt poured into it. Transparency could have changed everything. If a clear timeline had been provided when he was last seen, who was with him, what the medical examiners initially observed, it could have softened the confusion. When authorities speak with consistency, even painful truths find acceptance. But when silence dominates, suspicion becomes the language of the people. Fans began questioning, why the delay? Who benefits from keeping quiet? Is someone hiding the truth? These thoughts don't come from malice. They come from the human need for honesty in moments of chaos. Autopsy reports, often the backbone of any death investigation, are more than technical documents. They are the bridge between speculation and fact. In Yu Menglong's case, the delay in releasing the autopsy summary added to the storm. People wanted to hear that science, not rumor, would guide the narrative. A transparent report, summarized for the public without compromising private details, could have restored calm. Instead, the void allowed gossip to thrive unchecked. The tragedy deepened not only because a beloved star was gone, but because the truth about his departure seemed lost in bureaucracy. The media, too, played a double-edged role. Some journalists tried to maintain sensitivity, highlighting Yu Menglong's career, his kindness, and his gentle nature. But others exploited the ambiguity, crafting speculative stories with clickbait titles that made his death feel like entertainment. Every unverified article chipped away at trust, not just in the press, but in the very fabric of public discourse. One viral headline even misquoted a family member, sparking a wave of anger that forced the family to retreat from the public eye. That silence, though understandable, made the situation worse. When the family disappears, people turn to strangers for answers, and strangers, hungry for attention, often provide lies disguised as truth. Imagine a different scene. A public statement given calmly, compassionately within the first 48 hours. Officials sharing verified facts, acknowledging what they don't yet know, and promising regular updates. The family, protected and supported, speaks through an appointed spokesperson. The autopsy findings, summarized professionally, confirm the timeline and cause of death. Rumors fade, replaced by empathy and understanding. This is how trust is built, in layers of clarity, consistency, and communication. CCTV footage and witness testimonies also carry immense weight in shaping credibility. If properly handled, they can become anchors of truth. In many cases, however, authorities release snippets or summaries instead of the full story. When the footage of Yu Menglong's final hours was mentioned but not shown, fans began filling the gaps themselves. Some claimed to have seen clips that didn't exist. Others interpreted silence as proof of something sinister. In reality, a simple explanation, stating that the footage contained sensitive material and would be reviewed privately, could have calmed the storm. People don't need to see everything. They just need to know that everything is being seen. Another overlooked element in such tragedies is the tone of communication. When statements sound robotic or overly formal, they alienate the audience. Yu Menglong's fans didn't just want information. They wanted acknowledgement. A heartfelt message recognizing their pain would have bridged the emotional divide. Transparency without compassion feels cold. Compassion without transparency feels false. The balance of both is what sustains credibility. Independent oversight remains one of the most effective tools for rebuilding trust. Imagine if a respected third-party medical examiner or an independent investigative team had been invited to review MENGLONG'S case. Their involvement would have signaled accountability and neutrality, silencing doubts about bias or cover-up. The presence of an impartial body doesn't undermine official authorities. It strengthens them by proving their commitment to honesty. The emotional ripple of MENGLONG'S death stretched far beyond China. Fans across the world, many who didn't even speak his language, posted tributes filled with confusion and heartbreak. The global nature of celebrity makes transparency even more essential. A single unclear statement in one country can echo worldwide in dozens of interpretations. That's why international standards of investigative transparency should be established for cases involving global figures. Even months after his passing, the air surrounding MENGLONG'S story still feels heavy with questions, but the lessons it leaves behind are powerful. Every investigation of a public figure's death should be guided by 5 principles: clarity, timeliness, compassion, accountability, and equality. These are not just ideals, they are the backbone of trust. They ensure that when tragedy strikes again, society responds not with chaos, but with calm understanding.